They broke you down, but that's fine. Ruins are the best foundation for a fortress. You're not here to heal, you're here to rebuild. Brick by brutal brick. This isn't about finding peace. Peace is for the harmless. You're not harmless anymore. You've tasted loss, betrayal, weakness, and you've decided to never feel that again. From this moment on, you rebuild yourself like a ruthless mastermind. Every emotion becomes data. Every setback becomes leverage. Every insult becomes steel in your blood. You will learn to think in power, move in silence, and strike with precision. The world isn't kind. It's a chessboard, and you're done being a pawn. Welcome to Machiavellian mode. Comment this right now. I rebuild without mercy. Now, let's begin your transformation. Number 1. Destruction before dominion. Before you can rebuild, you must destroy. Not the world around you, but the weak version of yourself that still seeks approval, still hesitates, still doubts. That man dies today. Burn his excuses, shatter his comforts. Every empire begins with a purge, and yours starts within. To become untouchable, you must strip yourself of everything that softens your will. Attachments, validation, distractions. You must face the silence most men run from, because only in the void can the new self emerge, forged in discipline, built from clarity, sharpened by pain. When you erase who you were, the world loses its grip on you. That's when you become unpredictable, unstoppable, unreadable. The crowd will not understand your calm detachment. They'll call it arrogance. Let them. You are no longer moved by noise, only by necessity. Comment this now. I destroy weakness before I rebuild. Let it echo in your mind until every thought submits to it. The first rule of power is this: control begins with self-erasure. You can't command the game until you no longer fear losing yourself within it. Remember, destruction isn't chaos. It's calculated rebirth. Burn deliberately, rise without remorse, reclaim dominion. Number 2, the cold rebirth. Rebirth is not a ceremony. It's a war inside your own skull. When the old version of you dies, it doesn't vanish quietly. It claws, screams, and tries to drag you back into mediocrity. You must be colder than that voice. You must be surgical. Rebuilding yourself is not about motivation. It's about precision, ruthless self-analysis. You dissect your habits like an enemy's playbook. Every flaw becomes a target for elimination. Every weakness gets exposed under interrogation lights. You stop defending your mistakes and start executing them. Most people try to improve by adding. You, however, will subtract. Simplicity is strength. Remove softness, remove sentiment, remove dependency. Keep only what serves power. You must understand, control isn't about domination over others. It's about domination over self. The man who can command his impulses can command any room. You learn to detach emotion from decision, empathy from execution. You start moving like a strategist, not a slave to urges. That's when you begin to radiate something different. That quiet, lethal calm of a man who knows he can't be manipulated because he knows himself too well. Rebuilding is a brutal process because the old you resists annihilation. It will whisper comfort, nostalgia, and fear. Ignore it. There's no going back to comfort once you've tasted power. You become deliberate with your words, precise with your actions, unshakable in your silence. Let others react. You calculate. Let them speak. You observe. When you control your reactions, you control outcomes. The reborn man doesn't seek validation. He crafts results. Comment this: I rise colder, sharper, untouchable. Let that phrase mark your new identity. You are no longer rebounding from pain. You are refining it into dominance. Welcome to your cold rebirth. Emotionless, precise, unstoppable. This is how power begins to breathe again inside you. Number 3, the law of emotional control. Power begins where emotion ends. The world is moved by feelings, but those who master their emotions command those who don't. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's weaponization. You don't kill your emotions, you cage them, study them, and release them only when they serve strategy. The weak react, the strong calculate. Anger becomes energy, not chaos. Fear becomes foresight, not paralysis. You must learn to observe every emotional spike like a scientist observing a specimen under glass, detached, analytical, and calm. When you feel rage, don't explode, redirect. When you feel sadness, don't collapse, conceal. When you feel fear, don't flee, focus. A Machiavellian mind doesn't fight emotions, it reprograms them into instruments of control. Understand this. People are predictable because they are emotional. They want to feel seen, loved, respected, and that desire becomes their leash. You, however, must want nothing that can be used against you. Cravings make you visible. Indifference makes you dangerous. Emotional neutrality is the art of becoming unreadable, and the unreadable are untouchable. When you speak, you will sound calm even when others tremble. When you move, you will appear deliberate even when chaos reigns. The one who controls his internal storm controls every external battle. Stop venting, stop oversharing, stop seeking sympathy. These are emotional leaks, and leaks drown empires. Instead, become an observer of your own mind. Watch your reactions, time your responses, and learn to pause before you strike. That pause, that silence, terrifies people because it signals dominance. They sense they cannot provoke you, cannot predict you, cannot penetrate your composure. That's power. True emotional mastery isn't coldness, it's command. Comment this now. My emotions obey me. Let it burn into your identity. From this point forward, your emotions serve one purpose: to strengthen your control, not sabotage it. Every move, every word, every silence becomes intentional. That's the law of emotional control. Number 4, strategic isolation. There comes a phase in every man's evolution where isolation isn't loneliness, it's construction. You withdraw not to escape the world, but to redesign your operating system away from its noise. Strategic isolation is the crucible where all ruthless minds are reforged. Solitude becomes your sanctuary, not your sentence. You silence distractions, detach from meaningless chatter, and create a mental fortress around your focus. Most men fear being alone because when the noise fades, they must confront the truth of who they are. Fragile, impulsive, unfocused. But not you. You enter the void willingly. You understand that isolation isn't absence, it's amplification of thought, discipline, and precision. In this space, you refine your strategy, you master your emotions, and you cultivate the art of invisibility. You learn to move without broadcasting, to plan without seeking validation, to build without applause. The world worships exposure, you master concealment. When others are addicted to being seen, you become addicted to being prepared. You study in silence, you evolve quietly, you strike loudly when it matters. Isolation teaches patience, the weapon most men lack. The predator doesn't roar while stalking, he waits, and when the moment comes, his silence ends the game. You must live like that. Be still long enough to understand the field, the players, and your next 10 moves. The man who can endure his own company becomes immune to manipulation because he no longer fears solitude, he controls it. This is where detachment grows into dominance. You learn to extract power from discipline, not attention. You become your own echo chamber of strength. Comment this now. I master silence, I master self. Remember, isolation isn't the retreat of the weak, it's the laboratory of the strong. When you step back from the crowd, you see the entire board. When you stop needing others to define you, you become the definition itself. Strategic isolation is not hiding, it's sharpening. Stay unseen, stay prepared. When you re-emerge, the world won't recognize you, and that's exactly the point. Number 5, the calculated mind. To rule the game, you must think beyond emotion, beyond impulse. You must think in angles, probabilities, and consequences. The calculated mind is not about being robotic, it's about being ruthlessly aware. Every move you make, every word you speak, every silence you hold, all of it must serve a function. Nothing is random, nothing is wasted. You begin to see people not for who they pretend to be, but for what they want. That's the first law of power. Everyone is driven by need, and those needs are the strings that move them. The average man acts first and thinks later. You, however, reverse the order. You think 5 steps ahead, you simulate outcomes, you understand that timing is as important as execution. Never reveal your hand too early, never speak your full truth, never show your full capability. The calculated mind thrives in ambiguity. The less they know about you, the more they fear what you might be. Calculation is a form of warfare. You observe patterns, analyze weaknesses, and exploit predictability. If you know how a man will react, you already control him. In every conversation, every alliance, every conflict, you operate with quiet precision. You understand leverage, that power isn't about shouting the loudest, it's about holding what others need in silence. Be the one who knows more than he says and plans more than he reveals. You must study human behavior like a blueprint. Their ego, their insecurity, their vanity, all are tools. When others play with emotion, you play with perception. You learn to bend reality subtly, influence without pressure, guide without force. You don't manipulate with lies, you manipulate with truth presented selectively. Every great strategist in history, from Machiavelli to Napoleon, mastered this art of invisible influence. They didn't overpower the world, they outthought it. You will do the same. Calculation is not paranoia, it's preparation. You are not afraid of betrayal, you anticipate it. You are not surprised by change, you engineer it. This is how you stay calm in storms that drown others. You think like an architect of destiny, not a victim of circumstance. Remember, power is not taken, it's positioned. You position yourself through foresight, patience, and precision. Every move you make plants a seed that grows into inevitability. Comment this right now. I think in power, not in impulse. Let it carve itself into your identity. The calculated mind is the true mark of mastery. The mind that doesn't rush, doesn't react, doesn't beg. It moves like shadow, plans like chess, and strikes like fate. When you reach this level, chaos becomes predictable and people become transparent. You are no longer playing the game, you're designing it. Number 6, the art of ruthless adaptation. Adaptation is the highest form of power. Those who cling to rigidity, to comfort, to predictability, they decay the moment the world shifts beneath their feet. But the Machiavellian mind does not break. It bends, evolves, and recalibrates with precision. To rebuild yourself like a ruthless mastermind, you must understand this universal law. Survival favors the flexible, not the sentimental. Life is not a straight line. It is a battlefield of shifting terrain where yesterday's advantage becomes today's liability. The man who refuses to adapt becomes prey to those who do. Ruthless adaptation is not about chaos. It's controlled evolution. You change form while keeping your core intact. Your purpose remains constant, but your methods adjust like a serpent changing skin. This is not betrayal of identity, it's mastery of transformation. You must be willing to let go of versions of yourself that no longer serve the empire you're building. What worked for survival in one season may sabotage you in another. Adaptation demands detachment from ego, from nostalgia, from the illusion of permanence. The ruthless adapt because they see truth. The world rewards those who can evolve faster than others can understand what's happening. You must become fluent in change, comfortable in uncertainty, unbothered by instability. Most men panic when conditions shift. You, however, remain calculating. You assess, you adjust, you realign. You become both predator and chameleon, blending when needed, striking when necessary. To master adaptation, you must train your mind to pivot without hesitation. Emotions slow movement, analysis accelerates it. Every setback is just new data, every failure a recalibration point. You ask not, why me, but what does this teach me? This mindset transforms every loss into leverage. The adaptable man cannot be cornered because he always finds another path. He studies the battlefield, not to complain, but to rearrange the rules. You must become like water, fluid, formless, yet powerful enough to carve through stone. Flexibility does not mean softness, it means efficiency. You shift tactics with the same cold precision that others use to cling to familiarity. Adaptation is not reaction, it's evolution by design. You anticipate shifts before they arrive because you study patterns, the rise and fall of trends, the habits of people, the cracks in systems. You learn to see inevitability before others even sense movement. This foresight turns adaptability into dominance. You're no longer surviving change, you're orchestrating it. The ruthless know that control is an illusion, sustained only by the ability to pivot faster than collapse can reach them. You remain untouchable because you're never where they expect you to be. You understand when to detach, when to transform, when to reinvent your strategy, your circle, even your silence. Most men remain slaves to identity, chained by who they think they are. You, on the other hand, reinvent identity as a strategic tool. You wear masks with purpose, shed them when obsolete, and adopt new ones when the game demands. Adaptation is intelligence weaponized. It's reading the room, adjusting your tone, understanding the rhythm of human behavior, and shifting accordingly without losing authenticity. It's emotional aikido, using the momentum of others against them while maintaining composure. Adaptation doesn't mean you surrender your essence. It means you learn to survive in any terrain, any alliance, any environment. That's how you rise where others crumble. Look around. Every empire, every corporation, every dynasty that fell did so because it refused to adapt. The same rule applies to you. Rigidity is death disguised as discipline. You must evolve your tactics continuously, upgrade your skills, expand your perception, update your mind's operating system. If the battlefield becomes digital, you learn algorithms. If the economy shifts, you learn psychology. If society changes its language, you master communication. You cannot dominate a world you don't understand, and understanding requires transformation. To adapt ruthlessly is to evolve deliberately, without emotion, without hesitation. You become a strategist of change, not a victim of it. Comment this now. I evolve faster than my enemies. Let that sentence be your internal creed. Every adaptation increases your invisibility, your precision, your inevitability. The man who adapts without losing focus becomes immortal in influence. Remember, power is not static, it migrates, and only those who can move with it will keep it. When life demands you to shift, do not resist. Smile coldly, study the change, and adjust your next 3 moves. You are not here to endure the storm. You are here to learn its pattern and redirect it. That is ruthless adaptation, the art of becoming unstoppable because you are untouchable, and untouchable because you are ever-changing. Number 7. The psychology of control. Control is not about domination through force. It is the invisible art of influence, the ability to steer outcomes without appearing to touch them. The Machiavellian mind understands that real control is psychological, not physical. To control others, you must first master perception, yours and theirs. Every person lives in a private theater of emotions, ego, and insecurity. Control lies in learning the script that runs their show. People are not as complex as they appear. They are predictable machines powered by validation, fear, and desire. The one who understands these levers can make others move without commands. You don't demand loyalty, you design it. You don't beg for trust, you cultivate it through illusion. You don't argue, you lead them to agree with what they already wanted to believe. That's the essence of psychological control, guiding minds by aligning with their own self-interest. To master this, you must first detach from moral sentimentality. Manipulation is not inherently evil. It is a neutral tool, like fire. It burns or it warms, depending on who wields it. The difference between the manipulator and the victim is awareness. You observe people not to judge them, but to decode them. Every tone, every hesitation, every word they choose, all reveal their inner architecture. You watch their eyes when they lie, their body when they feel cornered, their silence when they hide intent. The more you understand human nature, the easier it becomes to predict it. And prediction is the foundation of control. When you can anticipate someone's reaction, you already possess power over them. Never mistake dominance for noise. True control is quiet, invisible, and irreversible. You don't crush opposition. You dissolve it through suggestion, through confidence, through calm inevitability. You plant thoughts subtly, through timing and tone, until they believe the idea was theirs all along. The mind resists force, but it surrenders to persuasion cloaked in familiarity. Learn to speak to people's needs, not their logic. Humans are emotional. Even intelligence bends under the weight of ego. Appeal to their pride, and they will follow you. Challenge it openly, and they will resist you even when you're right. The Machiavellian knows that every mind has an entry point, a weakness dressed as strength. The ambitious crave recognition, the insecure crave reassurance, the arrogant crave validation. Once you identify which one drives them, you possess the key to their behavior. Control is not about deception, it's about orchestration. You conduct human dynamics like a symphony: tension, release, silence, tempo. Each interaction is a note, each reaction a rhythm. You must stay emotionally distant enough to hear the full melody while others dance to it unknowingly. And yet, you must never show that you are in control. The greatest masters of manipulation appear effortless, almost selfless. They speak less, listen more, and deliver precision disguised as empathy. When you control your image, you control their response. Your calm becomes their trust. Your silence becomes their fear. Your approval becomes their pursuit. That is how influence multiplies, through perception, not confrontation. But remember, control over others begins with absolute control over yourself. The moment you lose composure, you forfeit leverage. You must be immune to provocation, immune to praise, immune to rejection. Emotional neutrality makes you unreadable, and unreadable men are untouchable. That's why kings had masks, not for beauty, but for strategy. Control requires concealment. Transparency is vulnerability. You reveal only what supports your objective. Everything else remains veiled behind discipline. If you can remain calm in chaos, silent in temptation, and focused in distraction, you become ungovernable. Comment this right now: I command with silence. Let it settle in your mind like a creed. The psychology of control is not about enslavement. It's about direction, shaping events with invisible strings. You don't chase outcomes, you arrange them. You don't fight for attention. You design the frame everyone looks through. The world bends to those who can influence its perception. Never underestimate how easily minds follow confidence. You are not playing people, you are reading them. You are not forcing submission, you are creating agreement. That's the Machiavellian art. Power hidden in composure, persuasion disguised as empathy, dominance delivered through restraint. Control begins in the mind, radiates through action, and conquers without war. Number 8. The power of perception. Perception is the currency of power. It doesn't matter who you truly are. What matters is what the world believes you are. The Machiavellian understands that reputation is both armor and weapon, invisible yet lethal. You don't need to be powerful to appear powerful. You need only to master the illusion. Because perception shapes reaction, and reaction shapes reality. Control perception, and you indirectly control behavior. The masses are not logical, they are visual. They see confidence and assume capability. They see composure and assume dominance. They see mystery and assume depth. The truth is irrelevant. Belief is everything. So, you must build your image like a sculptor chisels stone, deliberately, strategically, relentlessly. Every gesture, every silence, every word must reinforce the narrative you want the world to accept. You're not just living, you're curating. Never show confusion, never show desperation, never show need. The appearance of need creates dependency. The appearance of control creates magnetism. The Machiavellian doesn't chase validation, he engineers admiration. You make others want to believe in you by giving them something to interpret, not something to define. Mystery is power because it forces minds to fill in blanks in your favor. The less they know, the more they project. That projection becomes influence. You must understand, most people don't see reality. They see reflections of their own psychology. So, you become a mirror, reflecting what benefits your position while concealing what weakens it. If they expect strength, give them calmness. If they expect warmth, give them composure. Keep them guessing, never confirming. Predictability breeds control, but mystery breeds awe. You must cultivate an image that demands respect before words are even spoken. That image begins with discipline in your posture, tone, and presence. Enter any room with quiet authority, as if you own the silence within it. Speak less, but when you do, make your words surgical, sharp, deliberate, final. The powerful man doesn't need to convince, his existence convinces for him. Your voice, your body language, your stillness. These are psychological tools that sculpt perception. When you appear calm in chaos, others assume control. When you delay reaction, others mistake it for wisdom. When you remain composed under scrutiny, they assume superiority. It's not deception, it's design. You are not lying about who you are. You are presenting your essence with precision. The Machiavellian knows that power often comes to those who seem least concerned with it. You must project indifference toward what others crave, validation, status, attention, because indifference signals abundance. The man who appears self-contained becomes the one everyone wants to orbit. The paradox of perception is that detachment attracts while desperation repels. So remain poised when others panic. Show restraint when others overreact. Your restraint becomes your magnetism. This is how kings rule without raising their voices, how leaders command without demanding obedience. Power is not volume, it's presence. Your presence must feel intentional, as if every move has been decided hours before. This calm predictability terrifies emotional men because they can't read what they can't provoke. To them, you become a mystery, an enigma wrapped in composure, and mystery in a chaotic world feels divine. Comment this: I control perception, not opinion. Let that sentence fuse into your mindset. Understand, opinion changes like wind, but perception is carved like stone. You don't argue with critics, you let time expose them. You don't chase praise, you let results echo it. Every action you take should silently reinforce the narrative you've built. Reputation is not earned once, it's maintained daily through consistency and silence. Never defend your image verbally, defend it through performance. The one who argues loses control of the frame, but the one who acts redefines it. Always remember, visibility is not vulnerability. You choose what to reveal and when. Reveal enough to inspire, never enough to be fully understood. People fear what they can't fully read, and fear is the twin of respect. When perception bends in your favor, reality follows. You no longer chase power, you project it. You no longer seek validation, you command it. That is the Machiavellian mastery. Power not through possession, but through perception. Number 9. The discipline of power. Power is not built in moments of passion, but in years of discipline. It's not a lightning strike. It's a slow, deliberate fire forged through repetition, restraint, and ruthless self-control. Every man desires power, but few can sustain it, because power demands consistency, and consistency demands sacrifice. The Machiavellian mindset understands that emotion is fleeting, but structure is eternal. Discipline is what separates the predator from the prey, the king from the beggar, the strategist from the impulsive fool. You cannot call yourself powerful if you cannot command yourself. Every morning you wake up, the war begins, not with the world, but with your own weakness, laziness, distraction, comfort. These are the assassins of potential. You must kill them before they grow strong enough to kill you. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. It guards you from mediocrity. It ensures your vision outlives your moods. You will not always feel like working, thinking, building, or staying silent. But the disciplined man acts regardless of feeling. He does what needs to be done simply because it must be done. Emotion is irrelevant. Motivation fades. But habit, once forged, becomes a weapon. Every small act of self-control compounds into an empire of order. You train yourself to delay gratification, to endure discomfort, to remain composed when others crumble. The disciplined man is predictable to himself and unpredictable to the world. That's his paradoxical power. He doesn't chase highs, he cultivates consistency. He doesn't seek ease, he seeks efficiency. And because of this, he becomes unstoppable. The Machiavellian doesn't need chaos to prove strength. He thrives in order, in mastery of routine. You must live by systems, not impulses. Sleep becomes strategic. Diet becomes tactical. Work becomes sacred. Every aspect of life turns into an expression of power. The disciplined man doesn't need control over others because he's already conquered the hardest enemy, himself. Comment this now. I master myself before I master the world. Let that truth echo through you. Understand, power without discipline collapses. History is littered with men who gained control but lost themselves to indulgence. Discipline is your insurance against destruction. It gives you an edge no luck can replace. Through it, you build endurance, precision, and presence. Every decision, every silence, every sacrifice adds weight to your aura. You become consistent in chaos, calculated under pressure, patient in conflict. The undisciplined seek thrill. The disciplined seek legacy. The first burns quickly. The second burns forever. Discipline is not about control for control's sake. It's about liberation from weakness. And when you live by it long enough, it becomes instinct. You no longer force yourself to act. You simply act. That is when you've transcended resistance. That is when you've earned true power. Number 10. The untouchable state. There comes a point in your evolution where you no longer chase power, status, or validation. You become the embodiment of control itself. This is the untouchable state. It's not arrogance, it's clarity. You've mastered emotion, silence, calculation, and perception. You no longer react, you orchestrate. The chaos that once intimidated you now moves at your command. You've built yourself brick by brutal brick, endured solitude, pain, and discipline. And what remains is a being no longer swayed by external storms. You understand that true power isn't loud, it's silent certainty. The untouchable man doesn't prove himself. He makes others realize they can't define him. His calmness unnerves, his confidence intimidates, and his presence rearranges rooms. You move differently now, slow, deliberate, precise. You see through manipulation, deception, and weakness without flinching. You no longer need revenge. Indifference has become your execution. You don't seek to destroy enemies. You simply outlast them. Your time, your focus, your energy, all sacred. You've become immune to insult and immune to flattery because both come from the same place, dependency. When no one can provoke or seduce your mind, you are truly free. This is where Machiavellian wisdom fuses with Stoic strength, absolute composure, total awareness, relentless self-command. You are no longer building an empire, you are the empire. Comment this now, I am untouchable. Let the phrase solidify what you've become. You've transcended validation, emotion, and fear. You've mastered strategy, self, and silence. The world will test you, but you will remain unmoved because the untouchable man doesn't resist chaos. He absorbs it, decodes it, and redirects it. His strength is not seen, it's felt. And that invisible gravity pulls respect without demand. You've learned that everything external is temporary, but what you've built internally is eternal. Your power doesn't shout, it whispers. Your dominance doesn't chase, it attracts. And your silence doesn't hide weakness, it conceals dominance. You have become the storm others try to predict. You are the shadow they can't read, the calm they can't imitate, the man they can't manipulate. The game ends when you stop playing it. The throne belongs to those who no longer need to sit on it. Remember, you rebuilt yourself like a ruthless mastermind, and now you reign from within. Comment: Machiavellian mode activated. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your evolution has just begun.